Divorce hit me like a fucking truck. If you're going through it right now, listen, because these 5 lessons saved me from becoming a bitter, broken, or worse human being. You see, one minute I had a family and the next I was broke, alone, and fighting just for some time with my son. I did everything they say you're supposed to do. Love hard, show up, sacrifice, but none of it mattered. But what crushed me ended up remaking me. Before I could fix anything, I had to face the ugliest truth. I didn't know my worth without my family. And that's where the bleeding started. You see, I thought if I loved hard enough, that would be enough. But it wasn't. I first heard the term codependency in my counseling sessions. Joe, my therapist, had said it casually, but it kind of landed like a brick. I had heard the word before, I never realized that that could be something I dealt with. It was just a term in psychology that I had heard. But I started catching myself over-explaining everything, asking, does that make sense? Way too often. Like I needed validation just to talk to people. And it wasn't just in my marriage, it showed up in friendships, at work, even in the courtroom. And the real wake-up call? My ex never once, ever the entire time we were married for 5 years, praised me. I gave her constant affirmation, I got silence or complaints in return, and I took it for years. And this isn't about my ex, I'm not trying to say she's a bad person or anything like that. I just don't think she was raised to give that stuff as a woman. But the thing is, once I started realizing that, I stopped begging for the recognition. Now, instead I build it from within. If someone doesn't show me respect or speak life into me, they don't get access. When you stop needing to be chosen, you start choosing better. Trust becomes something you protect and not just something you give away. And that leads me to the next lesson I learned, which is trust must be earned, not assumed. You see, just because someone says the right words doesn't mean that they live by them. I married my ex within 8 months of dating. No prenup, no foundation, just urgency. That impulsive trust cost me everything, emotionally, legally, and financially. But here's the truth. I didn't just trust her, I trusted the fantasy. I didn't think I was allowed to ask for more or wait for proof. My low self-worth said, take what you can get. There were red flags. She never complimented me, as I said. She constantly accused me of cheating on her when I hadn't done a damn thing wrong. We didn't even share a lot of the same values, but I ignored it anyways because I thought, oh wow, I made this catch, finally, I'm gonna get a wife. I know, pathetic. Now, I verify before I trust. You see, I pulled out of a business deal recently that was 90% done just because it didn't serve me quite right and I didn't like exactly how it was set up. Old me at that point, being 90% into the deal, I would have just gone through with it to avoid disappointing someone. So no longer do I trust fast. Instead, I watch what people do, not what they say. Even after learning to protect trust, I still made one brutal mistake. I thought I could carry love by myself. And that brought me to the third lesson that I learned, which is you can't save a one-sided relationship.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt, but real quick before we jump back into the video, if you're a creator like me, then you've probably got a bunch of videos sitting on your phone or your hard drive that have never made it to the internet. Not because they're bad, but because editing takes time and life is already kind of crazy. And that's why I started Click Consultants. We help creators turn raw footage into polished, scroll-stopping content. We'll cut it, caption it, and thumbnail it, and get it ready to post. So if you got the content but not the time, down in the description below, there's a link to my website. Go ahead and hit that, and let's get your stuff out into the world. All right, back to the video.
You see, no matter how hard you fight, you can't carry that relationship by yourself. My rock bottom? Getting served divorce papers that claimed I was an unfit parent. The court believed her for a while, and I couldn't see my son for nearly 3 months. It was living hell. Meanwhile, because of my low self-worth and stuff, I was still texting her, still apologizing for what I thought were all the mistakes I was making, still trying to make it work. But it finally hit me. She had been the one that walked away, and I was still fighting a ghost. She left without a conversation, she refused to talk to me, but I was sitting there begging for scraps. So I stopped. Loyalty isn't dying on a hill someone else already walked away from. Walking away was not my weakness. It was the beginning of owning my fucking life again. And that's when everything started to shift. And that brings me to lesson 4, which is radical ownership is the only way out. You don't need permission to rebuild, you need responsibility. You see, in the beginning, I just accepted that I couldn't see my son. I thought, the court will make it fair eventually. That mindset nearly broke me. After the first hearing, when we went in for temporary orders, I realized no one was coming to save me or my son. If I wanted equal rights as a father, I was gonna have to fight like hell. So I did. I got back to working out. I doubled down on building my business. I started showing up like someone who deserved to win. Now I don't just wait for justice, I create momentum. I don't obsess over what's fair, I move with what's real. You can't control the system. You can't control other people. We hear that saying our entire lives, but we don't realize sometimes how true that is. But there is one thing you can control: yourself. You can control how hard you swing. But none of it mattered if I failed at the one role that I couldn't walk away from: being a dad. And that brought me to the fifth lesson I learned, which is solo fatherhood isn't a limitation, it's a legacy. I used to think I needed the nuclear family to be a good dad. That was a lie. Now, before I go any further, let me say all the research in the world does show that kids benefit from having two strong parents in the household from a nuclear family. That is the best option for kids. However, life is real, life is messy, I get that. So I will preface this by saying, if you can save your marriage, do everything you can to try to for your kids' sakes. But I used to think it had to be that way, or just everything was gonna be absolutely horrendous. You see, after she left, I felt like I had failed my son. I believed every stereotype about broken homes. But over time, I started to realize something. I like solo parenting. I don't have to ask for permission. I don't get undermined. I get to show up for my son fully and be there fully in the present. It's only about me and him in those moments. We play video games together, we cook dinner together, we read bedtime stories every night. I handle shit that I used to delegate just to keep the peace in the household. And here's the truth nobody tells you: being a solo dad isn't chaos. Okay, maybe sometimes it is, but it's also clarity. It's not a curse, it's a calling. And if more fathers knew how fulfilling it actually is, they'd stop settling for scraps and they'd start fighting for 50-50. I really believe that. And so these aren't just lessons that I learned, they're survival maps. I don't control what was done to me, but I control what I build from it. Whether it's my business Click Consultants, whether it's becoming a better father, or whether it's helping other men rebuild, this is the foundation that I'm building. If you're stuck in the wreckage, just know this: you're not powerless unless you decide to be. If you like this video, you should also check out this video, because it is a great video that'll help you on your journey to being a solo father if that's where you're currently at in life.